Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to show you guys how the header file source file pattern works in C and C++. So I'm just going to start with a quick example. I can include my standard.io.h library or header file here, and let's say I'm using the puts function from it. If I actually control click on this function, VS Code will show me where it comes from. But if you notice, this right here is just a declaration. There's no actual function body. There's no code for this function because this standard.io.h is just a C header file. It's not a C source file. So where is the code, and where does it exist, and where does the code for puts come from? Well, I'll show you with a little library example of my own. So in this folder mylib, I have a little library here. It starts with, this is my header file, core.h, and it has one function here, and this function is actually implemented in a whole separate file. So just a little walkthrough of core.h. Right here at the top, you can see we have a couple preprocessor directives. So this tells the C preprocessor, if this is not defined, then execute this block of code. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. And so if this is not defined, if mylib core h is not defined as a macro, we're going to define that as a macro, and then we're going to declare this function, and then we're just going to end the if statement. So that's ending the whole header file. And the reason we do this is because if you're writing a large project and someone is using a library in their large project and they happen to include your header file multiple times somehow, then this won't actually declare the function twice, because it'll say, once this is defined, it'll do this check every time this header file is defined. It'll say, whoops, mylib core h is already defined, and it'll just do nothing. However, some compilers have a new directive you can use. Instead of this whole if statement, you can actually just write pragma once, and I think my version of GCC supports this, so I'm just gonna delete everything and make sure pragma once is there. This tells my compiler that I don't want this header file to be included more than once anywhere. And then right here you can see just the declaration. Now if we go to core.c, you can see that it includes our core.h file. So it includes that file, and then it writes a function compatible with that declaration. So you can see that they are the same exact declaration. They have the same signature. And then it writes the actual code for that function. And so if I wanted to include mylib core.h in my program, I could do it like so. And then I could just run mylib init. However, you'll notice that if I just gcc main.c, it's not going to work. It's going to say undefined reference to mylib init, because when I include this header file, mylib init is defined, or it's declared, sorry, it's not defined. There's no actual code for it. So what we're seeing here is that GCC, although it can see that I've included this header file, it cannot see that I've included, or it doesn't know where to find mylib init. It doesn't know that it's in this core.c file. And the way we can include that in our compilation is by either directly including as a source file. So if I do mylib/core.c, this will work. It now knows that core.c is in my compilation, so it'll include that. Or what many libraries will do is they'll create a library archive. So that's what you see right here, libmylib_core.a, which is quite a tongue twister. But I've created it through this command, which is I'm just compiling my core.c and outputting an object file, and then I'm turning in that to an archive. So if I enter that command, it's created this. I can just delete this junk object file. It's created my archive, and now I can actually compile and link against that archive. So I can actually compile this main.c file and then pass this archive in to resolve this symbol. So mylib init is contained within this object archive. So if I compile that, you can see that main.c is outputted, and if we run main, mylib is initialized. And one of the reasons, you might be thinking that we could have just included core.c, and you'd be 100% correct. However, one of the reasons that this pattern is included is not only for cleanliness and organization, but it's also that you just have to link against a library once. Let's say there's a lot of files where I include a header. If I included core.c that many times, if there was no, first of all, if there was no include guard like pragma once, it would define this function too many times and the compiler would get annoyed. But it would also make for a massive compilation, because even if there was an include guard, this source file would be included everywhere, when this source file could have been compiled beforehand and put in a library, and now I only have to worry about including this in my compilation at linking. So that's just a quick overview of the header file source file pattern in C and C++. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.